Is this government testing record a smoking gun?
I believe it is.
Who would have the authority to remove references to directed energy exposure?
The State Department and CIA.
Why was the intelligence withheld?
It gets to the heart of the U.S. government always trying to minimize any potential directed energy attack.
You've exclusively shared this record with us.
Yes.
Is that your signature?
No, it is not.
Are you alleging fraud with a government contract?
Yes, I am.
What is the cost of coming forward?
The cost for me has been not only financial, but it's been profound in terms of my career. When I see that, I see the U.S. government doing the worst of the worst, putting pressure on me to be quiet, using my kids, using my wife. And that is the worst. That's beyond reprehensible in a very Soviet way.
You've exclusively shared this record with us.
Yes.
Is that your signature?
No, it is not.
Was anyone authorized to sign for you?
No.
Are you alleging fraud with a government contract?
Yes, I am.
How large is this State Department contract?
This particular contract is a $5 million, what we call a TSU, a technical security upgrade, but for $5 million, yes.
Is this an isolated case?
It's actually not. Every State Department Foreign Service officer like myself knows of instances like this where fraud has been committed at the Department of State, and that's why I fully support DOJ's efforts to root out that fraud, waste, and abuse.
A top engineer trained to defend against electronic spying at U.S. embassies, Mark Lenzi is now a State Department whistleblower.
What is the cost of coming forward?
The cost for me has been not only financial, but it's been profound in terms of my career.
A Russia expert who has worked in war zones in nearly 70 countries, Lenzi told us he is now delivering passports in Washington, D.C.
The worst thing you can do at State Department is praise President Trump and expose fraud, waste, and abuse. You're going to be retaliated against.
Before the new whistleblower allegations, Lenzi's story begins in 2018. Lenzi was working for the State Department in China when he says he was targeted at his apartment by a directed energy weapon. Lenzi's family, who traveled with him to China, were also injured. They all suffer from debilitating brain injuries known as Havana syndrome, named for a cluster of cases among U.S. diplomats in Cuba. Lenzi's story mirrors that of other Havana syndrome survivors who came forward to our team and alleged a U.S. government cover-up.
I was an employee of the Central Intelligence Agency for 19 years.
The intelligence community has attempted to thwart congressional investigative efforts to uncover the truth at every turn. I mean, that sounds like a government cover-up.
It's a cover-up and it's terrifying.
These documents back up Lenzi's account.
This government testing record shows that you were evaluated for directed energy exposure.
Yes.
Is this government testing record a smoking gun?
I believe it is, because it did exactly what it's saying. This test is comprised of tests that you can't possibly fake, eye tracking movements that are signature of this injury that they're testing for in the field.
Has this testing document been altered or changed in any way?
Yes, it has. After I came back and I was treated for brain injury and diagnosed with brain injury, and my wife was diagnosed with traumatic brain injury, this document that you're looking was altered to remove that it's testing for directed energy exposure.
Wait a second. Who would have the authority to remove references to directed energy exposure?
The medical offices of both the state and the Central Intelligence Agency, State Department and CIA.
These records about a U.S. government study at the University of Pennsylvania into Havana syndrome were also changed.
Why do you have paperwork that says it's being sponsored by the U.S. government and then it changes to it's being sponsored by a university?
To cover up the fact that U.S. government knew that it was directed energy causing these certain injuries. I work for the intelligence community. I'm a U.S. State Department diplomat. No one from the intelligence community nor Department of State who I work for has interviewed me about this.
How can that be?
That's because they don't want to know. They want to have plausible deniability.
To cope with his injury, Lenzi relies on high-tech therapies like this one to improve his brain function.
The goal is to make these three circles converge and do that with your brain.
Lenzi sued the State Department in 2021, and as part of the settlement, Lenzi said he kept his job and was reassigned to Helsinki, Finland. His area of responsibility includes embassies on the front line with Russia.
Are these U.S. embassies at high risk for directed energy attacks?
Yes. Again, I won't discuss classified, and this hasn't been publicly reported. but not only in Lithuania. In other Baltic countries, there have been incidents that the U.S. public does not know about, but have occurred.
Incidents involving who?
Directed Energy and the Russian Federation operators committee against U.S. government personnel.
And when?
Well before 2016.
While Lenzi said he should have been among the first to know, he learned of a serious incident from news reporting. A senior Defense Department official was apparently targeted and had symptoms similar to Havana syndrome at the 2023 NATO summit in Lithuania.
I got a frantic phone call from the regional security officer in Vilnius, Lithuania. My boss, basically, when I go to the embassy in Vilnius. So in this phone call, I said, what? How come I'm hearing about this from media? And they said, we're just telling you the way it is. Yeah, watch the media report.
Why was the intelligence withheld?
It gets to the heart of the U.S. government always trying to minimize any potential directed energy attack.
Lenzi said he immediately began testing to see if the directed energy threat persisted.
I can't get into too many details, but certain readings were extreme of concern, showing both security and safety vulnerabilities, i.e. data that was in excess of U.S. government safety and security levels.
Let me just stop a second. Can you tell me where those heightened levels were measured?
That was in and around U.S. Embassy Vilnius.
Okay, so these are levels which are concerning for health reasons, for safety reasons, and also for security reasons.
Yes, yes.
These heavily redacted emails indicate Lenzi started reporting the measurements back to Washington, D.C., using classified networks. Lenzi said he was urged to drop it.
I was told by my supervisors, take that language out of the report. Don't include that language.
Wait a second. You're talking about RF energy, radio frequency energy?
Potentially, yes.
Is that classified?
The details of which are, and it wasn't only RF energy, there was other electrical energy that we're talking about as well.
Was the American embassy under attack?
My job as a technical operator, as a security engineering officer, is to take data and send that back to Washington to determine if it's under attack or not. I was told, take that data out. We don't even want to deal with that.
Is that a violation of State Department regulations?
Completely. There's a question in there. In your engineering judgment, how long has this existed? And I said, for years, potentially. And that's what Washington, they wanted me to remove that. It absolutely goes against everything that I'm being paid for. It's fraud, waste, and abuse at its worst.
Lenzi said he refused to sign off on a security upgrade project at the U.S. Embassy in Vilnius because of the concerning energy readings. Then a colleague alerted him to this completed compliance paperwork.
Is this your signature?
No, it is not.
Was anyone authorized to sign for you?
No.
Are you alleging fraud with a government contract?
Yes, I am.
How large is this State Department contract?
This particular contract is a $5 million, what we call a TSU, a technical security upgrade, but for $5 million, yes.
We were not able to find information indicating the contractor had been informed of the dispute. Now 2 government watchdog agencies are involved. Lenzi said he was recently retaliated against and ordered to leave Helsinki, uproot his family, and disrupt therapy for his children.
When I see that, I see the U.S. government doing the worst of the worst, putting pressure on me to be quiet, using my kids, using my wife. And that is the worst. That's beyond reprehensible in a very Soviet way.
Lenzi said his son Thomas, who was a toddler at the time of the 2018 incident in China, has the most severe traumatic brain injury. Lenzi claimed the State Department's inaction made it worse.
Did the State Department test your children?
No, they did not. In the time that it took for me to get my children the help that they needed on my own, the time that it took for my kids led to their injuries being worse than they should have, according to U.S. military doctors and civilian doctors.
I have an evaluation here for your son that you have shared with us. And it says Thomas has issues with eye movement, headaches, concentration, hand-eye coordination since the traumatic brain injury. When I read this assessment to you as a father, what goes through your head?
I signed up for this, Catherine, for this job, to go up against Vladimir Putin, to go up against, these Russians who I have a long history with. This, for me, the fact that if I was injured just by myself or something like this, honestly, I wouldn't be in front of you today. My kids and my wife did not sign up for this. So as a father, I wrestle with this all the time when I'm told from a doctor, well, you should have had them here before. Their injuries would have been less had you been medevaced before, had you been properly evaluated. Because always my biggest fear, Catherine, still is that my wife and I will get early onset of Parkinson's for this, and we won't be there for our kids with their health issues, right?
After our 2 recent investigations into Havana syndrome, Tulsi Gabbard, the nation's top intelligence official, committed to initiating a new assessment.
There seems to be a sea change with this new administration. A lot of people have described to me that there's an openness or a willingness to acknowledge these weapons. Is this strategic? Is it a leverage point for President Trump?
It is a leverage point. I have faith that President Trump, after this report, after DNI Gabbard's report, after ODNI does this, that President Trump will have a leverage point. And that he'll use that.